Hey guys, my name is Patrick Cummings. I'm a graduate assistant strength coach at Mississippi State. The purpose of this video is for me to take you through my philosophy on core stability training. For me, my training philosophy is based on compound lower body multi-joint movements. So we're going to squat, we're going to deadlift, we're going to do a lot of variations of the Olympic lifts. The core is going to get trained throughout those movements. However, we need to dedicate specific time to developing the core, which for me is from the diaphragm down to the pelvic floor. So we need to spend specific time developing this part of the body in addition to doing a lot of compound movements. Now, a lot of people will still want to do sit-ups or crunches. For me, that doesn't make sense for two reasons. One, athletes already are in a hunched over position, looking at their phone, sitting in class, doing a lot of things like that. Putting them in that position during training, to me, doesn't make sense. So for me, if I want to train the core better, I need to get them out of that position doing anti-rotation, anti-extension, or anti-flexion movements. Secondly, and more importantly, in the competitive arena, on the field, on the court, you're never going to be in a position where you're going to be hunched over and need strength in your abs. You're going to need your core to transfer energy from the lower to the upper body. That's the main function of the core. That's what it's designed to do. So that's how we're going to train it. The two simplest exercises that I like to start with whenever I'm developing core stability within an athlete are the plank and the power press. So we've got Evan here today. He's going to help me demonstrate a few of these exercises. He's going to start in a plank position. I love the plank because, one, you can progress it and you can regress it very easily. So if an athlete can't do a proper plank, we can put them up on a higher surface, put their body kind of in a 45-degree angle, and then gradually work them down to the floor. So he's going to start here already in the plank position. He's going to start on his forearms, on his toes. The goal here is to make sure that we can get a straight line from his head down to his heels. So his head is going to stay in a neutral position. This is a great teaching point for us where we can teach the neutral spine. So right now he's got a flat back. The reason he has that flat back is because his ribs are tucked in and his core is tight. Okay? If you can teach the neutral spine, if the neutral spine is present, usually his hips are in a good line, his knees are straight, everything's in a straight line. So, thank you. As I said before, you can progress that a lot. We can add weight to it, we can add a band to it, we can wrap a band around his waist, pull from side to side to add some anti-rotation. We can do unilateral variations, single leg, side plank, single arm. We can put our feet in a TRX or a bow slide, and in that way do kind of a TRX body saw where we're moving our plank forward and backward. We can do a lot of different things with it. So that's one of the reasons I really like the plank. Secondly, the Pallof press I think is a great exercise for anti-rotation. The way I like to start Pallof press is in a full kneeling position. Full kneeling for me is 2 knees down on the ground. He's going to start in a prayer position, hands back there. The band should be about belly button height on the post. You can use a band, use a cable, preferably I use a band. He's going to hold it kind of a little bit higher up at his chest there in a prayer position. He's going to be perpendicular to the force wherever it is. So if the force, if the band of the cable is coming out here, his body is going to stay straight, perpendicular to that band the entire time. So he's going to start in prayer position. He's going to press the band outward. From there, he's not going to rotate or turn. He's going to keep his chest straight. He's going to make sure his ribs are tucked down, his core is tight. Everything's staying in a straight line the entire movement. Come back to prayer position. That's 1 rep. We can do a lot of different variations. We're holding out for a specific amount of time. We can do Pallof up downs where if he's pressing out, he can take the band up to his forehead, down to his belt buckle, and then back to the center. So that's a Pallof up down. That's a good variation we can do from that too. If you come around to the side here, one of the other key teaching points I like to do with the Pallof press when we're down in this position is to teach the hip hinge. So the hip hinge is obviously a movement we need for compound lower body exercises. It's sometimes difficult for certain athletes to grasp. With this position, if he presses out, I can teach him, or I can tell an athlete to do a quarter squat from their hips back down to their heels and back up. So in that way, we're kind of teaching them to stay tight in their core while also teaching them to dip their hips back and stand back up. So we can do a lot of different variations there. After a full kneeling Pallof press, we'll go to a half kneeling Pallof press where his inside foot's up. You start in prayer position again, chest up, pressing out, doing the same movement. After we've mastered that, we go to a standing position. So again, the band starts at belly button level here. pull the band back to prayer position. We're in an athletic stance. Our chest is slightly up. Our back is not necessarily in an arch, but it's not necessarily flat either. Kind of a happy medium there. Hips are slightly pushed out. Starting prayer position, pressing out, holding for a specified amount of time, pulling back in. So we can do a lot of different variations. So if I'm Evan's partner and I want to add a little more instability to it, if he presses out and holds it, I can move the band around, tell him to keep his hands stable. We can do different things like that. We can add weight to it. We can do what we just did on the ground, where we can do pal-off squat, pal-off lunge, do a lot of different variations out of that same position. If we just have partner, if we don't even have a band or a cable, we can do manual resistance. There are just a lot of different ways we can go about training both the pal-off press and the plank. So that's two of the reasons why I like those two movements. Those are the movements I really try to emphasize within my core stability training.